Hello and welcome to Geetika Ki Canadian Diaries new episode, a new topic, gender bias in healthcare. We have with us in our studio Dr. Saunia Ahmad, who is Director of Toronto Psychology Clinic. Thank you so much, Dr. Sonia, for joining us.
Thank you.
Before we get into our discussion, I just want to share some facts and stats with our listeners and for our talk. So, according to the recent article, which is very recent, October 2024, on World Economic Forum, women are 10% less likely than men to have their pain level assessed when they arrive at hospital. According to a McKinsey report in 2020, and listen to this, only 1% of healthcare research and innovation was invested in female specific conditions beyond oncology. It is mind blowing. 1%. I'm actually finding it very hard as I say it every time I repeat it to myself um, to understand that women who are actually in most cultures, I would say, are caretakers when it comes to health of the family at home, like taking care of aging parents, family appointments, annual checkups of the family, and then they're actually spending 25% more of their lives in debilitating health than men. And this is also according to the report from World Economic Forum and McKinsey Health Institute. What do you have to say about that?
I'm not surprised, Geetika. It's a pretty known fact among many health professionals that women are underrepresented in the research on healthcare and are often underdiagnosed or misdiagnosed in the healthcare system on a lot of very critical health conditions. Often, women, a lot of people that I work with will tell me that they weren't taken seriously the first time around. And only when things got really serious and very detrimental did the health professional really recognize what was going on. And it could have been prevented or less serious had it been identified sooner.
I'm wondering how can one tell like if they are being dismissed? Sometimes when you're in a doctor's office, you are obviously overwhelmed with your pain, and then at what point do you say, no, 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 I think you are not listening to what I'm saying? Like, are there, can you share some examples? I'll share mine to start off with. Like, both pregnancies, I kept saying, I feel some symptoms that my Google search doesn't seem to be matching up with, or I don't think this is normal. And I was dismissed, literally, saying, it's okay, don't worry about it, just go about it. Um, One doctor had the nerve to say, be happy that you're pregnant. A lot of people go through a lot of trouble to just get pregnant. And this is Canada. So, anyway, as a result, I had 7+ years of recovery and pain. And I couldn't walk for more than half an hour without saying, okay, now I'm done for next 10 days. My body will not be able to do so and so things. Um, that was just one example that I'm saying. I'm sure you come across a lot of people who say, okay, I was not taken seriously. Now it's impacting me emotionally, which is true. Can you share some examples like that?
Well, often what I find with the first part of that question, I find with regards to when do you know you're not being taken seriously, sometimes people don't because they are relying on the physician to have an accurate diagnosis. And if the physician is not aware of their own biases, the gender biases that are at play with regards to diagnosing and treating health issues among women, then no one knows what's going on. And often women will suffer through a lot of pain and not know what it is. What I often tell people is that listen to your gut. If you are still struggling and if you're not sure, it's always okay to speak up and advocate for yourself, to say, you know what, I need more investigation. Can we have further examination of this issue? And if you're not taken seriously and if your intuition suggests that, you know what, I might not be accurately diagnosed and being an accurate getting the accurate treatment, then seek out a second opinion.
Yeah.
That is what I would say. And in terms of examples, like I often find a lot of women seeking out help for, say, heart disease issues, for gynecological issues. Gynecological issues come up a lot. I find that often we find a lot of women are ending up in the emergency room for many gynecological issues that could have been addressed in without having to go to emergency. But part of the issue too is we don't have enough physicians, enough gynecologists as well for the population. But often when I hear them say that they feel very minimized, and also feel quite disrespected sometimes when they seek medical help. They're made to feel like they're making a big deal out of nothing when their pain is very real. Research has uh, uh, found and confirmed that when a woman reports pain, she's less likely to be taken seriously than when a man reports pain. And this becomes a major issue because reporting pain is one part of the initial diagnosis of treatment and to get help. And so if they're not being taken seriously, definitely very important to speak up and seek out another opinion if you're not being taken seriously.
Yeah, I wonder what are the causes. Like sometimes I feel like it's also how girls or women throughout our history or cultures, we are taught you're okay. Don't tell if you're in pain, like a little bit of pain is fine. That's part of being a woman sometimes, right? That's what most girls in my age group back home were being told. And I remember if I am having menstrual cramps, or as you mentioned, cardiovascular issues, menopause. It's not just hot flashes in menopause. Lots of women will have lots of symptoms. And if you are being dismissed, saying, oh, don't worry, it's just the menopause you're going through, and kind of dismiss what other symptoms they may be mentioning. And as you said, not being diagnosed at the right time, not being treated for the right thing. Um, how does it impact one's decision to seek ongoing medical care? I would think if you're not being listened to again and again and again, you're probably going to say, you know what, there's no point in going to the clinic. I'll see what happens. And then obviously that becomes a vicious circle. You're in pain, obviously your body's sending you a signal, something's not right. But then you're telling yourself that, well, I'm not being listened to. Maybe it's just in my mind.
Yeah, women often internalize the messages of being the caretaker and to tolerate pain. And in order to take care of others, you need to sacrifice yourself. That is the messaging that they get. And plus, this is reinforced when if they seek out help for their health, and they're getting the message that yeah, you're asking for too much, you're being too much, like you're making a big deal. On top of that, as you said, that there's not only is there a lack of understanding of healthcare among women, but there's such a lack of understanding about women specific health when it comes to fertility, it comes to premenopause, menopause. You're right. People think that everyone who goes through menopause is a hot flash, is just, and everything comes down to period pains
Yeah,
and everyone has the same experience. And it's not true. There's so much variation. And a lot of healthcare professionals are not trained when it comes to women's health, and particularly around their reproductive health as well too. And this then also feeds into a woman's understanding of her own health. A woman cannot take care of her health effectively if she doesn't have the knowledge and the tools, and that knowledge comes from her healthcare provider and particularly family doctors. And if there's not a good trusting relationship with the family doctor, if they don't feel supported, then they're going to be hesitant to reach out for help, and they're also going to not know when to reach out for help as well too. Education is very key.
yeah, you're right. I wanted to ask you specifically because you have a clinic that deals with patients with certain um, situations. I'm trying to figure out if a physical pain on constant basis, somebody's going through that and then they keep getting dismissed. How does it emotionally, mentally affect that person? What are the long-term effects?
Well, I mean, if people are being dismissed while they're experiencing physical pain, debilitating pain, like what you had experienced, you couldn't walk, that impacts your quality of life, it takes a major toll on their confidence, on their self-esteem. It can lead to depression, anxiety. Anxiety is a real big one because when you don't feel like you have certainty and control of your life, health is a very big one. If you feel like you're helpless to your health, and then you are more prone to developing symptoms of anxiety. And it can be very debilitating, very demoralizing. A lot of women Not only does it affect the quality of life in terms of their day-to-day life with their friends and family, it also affects their ability to earn income as well too. A lot of women have to take time off or can't work as a result of these healthcare issues.
My last question. Can you think of any two or one takeaway for somebody who's being dismissed right now and is actually listening to our talk right now and thinking, maybe I need to advocate more for myself? What are the right ways to address that when you're sitting in a healthcare setting? It's not easy to question a doctor because you're obviously in pain and you are maybe scared at that point. What's going on? What does this mean for me? And you may not want to contradict what the doctor is saying because they're doctor. They know what they're saying. How can you find a better way to rephrase and reinstate or advocate for yourself, um, and see if you get a different result?
Well, first off, very important to advocate for yourself, even if you think that your doctor will not understand or will not like that. Always important to advocate for yourself. And if you find that your doctor is not helpful, you can find another one, get a second opinion. You have a right to a second opinion. At the same time, it's true. It's really hard when someone you're really struggling and a physician is in a position of power in terms of being able to provide health care. You could ask for someone to attend that appointment with you and to assist you in advocating for you. I also suggest that people write down what are their questions, what is the research that they've done told them about this issue, and walk and use that to help you remain objective and to stick to continuing to ask the right questions from your healthcare provider. Dialogue is always really important. If you take the time to ask the right questions, to ask the physician to educate you on what may or may not be happening, and then if you continue to feel like it's not working, it's not helping, don't doubt yourself. Seek out a second opinion. Two opinions can help to reaffirm if the initial opinion is indeed accurate.
So, what about the healthcare setting? How can the doctor team or the healthcare team be more aware of this person may be coming from a different cultural background? Maybe they have trouble talking about their own symptoms or their own pain level. How can we make it more of a conversation where the other person is um, more ready and open to discuss what they think they need to tell the healthcare team to help them back?
Well, it's always the most important tool is listening and really making the attempt at listening carefully to what someone is saying. Healthcare providers can take the time to ask a patient to elaborate. They can ask what would help them communicate their symptoms better, whether a family member being present who can perhaps communicate on behalf of the patient, that is also helpful, or they can also seek out another health provider who might be of a similar background from their team to assist and to also educate them on what might be different when it comes to a particular cultural group when it comes to describing and sharing for health information. So for instance, some people come from backgrounds where sharing issues around their gynecological concerns can be really, really difficult and not so easy to share. And those are the and so finding ways to improve how safe the person feels to open up to you, whether having an ally from your own team or from their community, can make a big difference.
Thank you so much for talking with us, Dr. Sonia. I hope our listeners realize that, well, the best advocate for your health is you. So don't doubt, as you said yourself, if you feel like you're not being heard or you're being dismissed, speak up again. Um,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geetika.
Take care. Bye bye.